Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LGBTQ Real Estate Podcast, connecting LGBTQ home buyers and sellers with LGBT real estate professionals sharing the best of their local community. It's a pleasure today to welcome Stephanie Sullivan of Chicago. Stephanie, I know you have a great passion for helping the LGBTQ community buy and sell homes, and it's great to see you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
A pleasure. Yeah, such a pleasure. And we've been working for some time now. And tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll get right into the interview because we
Sure,
know the format is 15 minutes. We keep everything really brief.
sure,
People are multitasking. So let's jump into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you want to say, both professionally, personally.
sure. So I've been a realtor for the last 14 years. I have lived all over Chicago. I currently live in Evanston, which is just a little suburb north of Chicago. It's pretty much connected to Chicago, and people who live here consider it to be kind of part of Chicago, if you will. I am a single mom of a beautiful 14-month-old baby boy. Um,
Wow. Congratulations.
yeah,
Did you sleep well last night?
we slept okay last night. He's been sleeping through the night, although he is going through some sleep regression right now because he just started walking and I think the wheels are turning. So that's a
Wow.
very fair question. The last year has been an adventure with regards to sleep for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like,
But other than that, I have lived in the Chicago area since 2003, so long enough to call it home now, and definitely love to call it home for a variety of reasons. And yeah, it's a city that I've really grown to love and enjoy being a part of.
Sounds really nice. Thanks for sharing that, especially your personal raising a young
Yeah,
boy. That must be an exciting time of your life. And, I've
very
been to
much.
Chicago and I love it. I mean, just the diversity, like you
It's
said,
a
the
great
little
city.
burbs. There's so much, so much diversity. The LGBTQ community has a great population there.
Oh
And
yeah.
I know you have a lot of LGBTQ clients. Tell us, what is it about the LGBTQ community that you enjoy working with them so much?
Well, being a member of the LGBTQ plus community gives me joy in working with people that are part of the community just by virtue of the fact that I understand where they're coming from. I understand how people who live within the community move through the world. And so being able to relate to people on a personal level and help them through one of the most complex and exciting processes in their lifetime is hugely rewarding for me. So I take a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure in helping people in the LGBTQ plus community find their dream home or sell their current home. Everyone has a different reason for why they're making a move, and oftentimes it's very personal. And I think that it's important for members of the LGBTQ plus community to have resources in real estate agents to go to, just as you would maybe choose a doctor or an attorney or some other person to work with based on how well you think they might relate to you and your personal needs. I think with real estate it's no different, and being that it's one of the biggest transactions that you're going to do in your lifetime, and because the nature of buying a home or selling a home lends itself to sharing a lot of personal information, I think it's important for people to be able to work with someone that they truly feel comfortable with, so that there's always a level of communication that's honest and transparent. That's how I think the process can move along the best, the most effectively, the most smoothly. And so I love that I can be a resource to people within my community who, might benefit tremendously from working with someone like me who gets it, to put it in
Yeah,
layman terms.
you get it. You get it. Yeah, that very well said. And I think this is great because people that may be watching this video, they maybe search Google or YouTube, looking for
Mhm.
information about their community. They know now that you are a resource, and you know the neighborhoods, you speak their language, so to say. So
Yeah, absolutely.
they can have trust, and confidence in working with you, and that's
Absolutely.
important. That's what this show's all about. Featuring people like yourself that are out in the community, out and about. So, I know you're really fond of your area,
Mhm.
both the Burbs and Chicago. Tell us what it is you love living. I'm sorry. Tell us a little bit more about why you love and enjoy living in your community. For example, what are the favorite parts of the city that you like? Whether it's
Yeah.
the arts, the dining, it may be great coffee shops, wine bars, restaurants.
Oh.
Tell us a little bit about the job market. Kind of like in a nutshell, what you love about it.
Yeah, I mean, you've actually touched on all of the reasons why Chicago is such a great city. We do have a lot of diversity. We do have some of the best restaurants, some of the best wine bars, as you mentioned, or art scene. I originally moved here for the art scene because I have, in addition to being an entrepreneur, I have a creative side to me as well. And so I've been a member of the theater community for a while, and I have other artistic passions. And the city initially drew me because of the art scene, the museums, the number of opportunities to witness and be a part of something creative and artistic. So that was the initial draw. But I've grown to love the city because of its proximity to the lake, which feels like a beach. I love the summertime and all of the different festivals that happen during the city, whether it be like music festivals or art festivals, opportunities for creatives to sell their wares or that kind of thing. Just being able to walk around in the city is also something that I think we take for granted. I've been to a lot of other major cities in the US, and not all of them are walkable. I like to be able to walk different places. We have a great public transit system. You don't even need a car if you live here and move here. But between all of those things, I mean, the architecture alone, which is something that I really became more familiar with when I got into real estate, is unparalleled in my opinion. Now, granted, I haven't been everywhere, but we're known for our architecture. I mean, there's just a little bit of everything for everyone in this city. And so, you never get bored in the city, and there's just always something to do and always something to look forward to. It's just a really wonderful city all around.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. I personally am very fond of the Navy Pier. Like you
Navy
said,
Pier is great.
the proximity to the lakes, Michigan. You're like, just a hop, skip, and a jumping
Yeah.
away from the Lower Peninsula. It's in the summertime. I think that's great. So, you touched on a great topic, which was the architecture, and
Hmm.
I'd like you to elaborate a little bit more on that. And what I mean by that is, there's a very diverse housing stock,
Yeah.
in the Chicagoland area, whether it be historic homes or new construction. Can you tell a little bit about what you work with for your clients, and what
Sure.
people can expect, from you? You probably do a little of everything, right?
I do. I do a little bit of everything. You're absolutely right. I mean, I base and I tailor, my um, my way of working with people, I guess, very much based on what their individual needs are. So, some people are going to have a preference for high-rise buildings, which are nice because they come with all kinds of amenities. Some people would really prefer to be in a smaller building. I mean, in Chicago, you've got everything. So, you've got single family homes, you've got the traditional Chicago style bungalow, the high rise buildings, like I mentioned, you have courtyard buildings, you have 2 and 3 flat buildings. So there's really, again, even in terms of the housing inventory and stylistically, there's just a little bit of something for everyone, kind of like what I mentioned in terms of the city in general. And architecturally, what's really cool is that you have neighborhoods where you've got like 1920s Art Deco style buildings, but at the same time, you'll see modern and postmodern. You've got a huge variety. We've got Gothic, we've got, I mentioned Art Deco, we've got Art Nouveau. I mean, there's stylistically, there's something for everyone. And in terms of like what the different, kinds of homes there are available. Again, if you prefer to be in a single family home with privacy in a backyard, you're going to find that. If you'd prefer to be in a high rise building with all the amenities and those kinds of luxuries, you're going to find that. So I do a little bit of everything, like you said. I mean, it's really tailored to people's individual needs and their preferences.
Very nice. And from what I understand, you service the entire Chicagoland area. So for
I
someone that
mostly service the north side of Chicago. When the crash happened in 2008, it kind of drew me out of areas that I had been focusing on. And with the crash, I think we were all, and meaning real estate agents, were sort of forced to become experts in other areas. And so if you look at a sales map and you look at where I've done business, it's kind of all over the place. That being said, I think in the last few years, I have decided to focus more so on the north side of Chicago. And that is a sort of vague term. So what I mean specifically is north of the Loop, north of the downtown area, and all the way up into Rogers Park, which is the furthest neighborhood in Chicago. And Evanston is, right there, just north of Rogers Park. So that area north of Rogers Park, is part of what we consider to be the North Shore. And I consider that to be an area that I specialize in as well, since I live in the North Shore. But like I said before, having lived in so many different Chicago neighborhoods, I really am familiar with a lot of them. And like I said, mostly on the north side of Chicago and out west into, Portage Park, Jefferson Park, those kinds of areas as well. But so it's a pretty
yeah.
wide range. But like I said, with the crash that happened in 2008, you sort of were forced to become an expert in all these different areas. And these days, with all the information you have online, it's not difficult to do. It just takes some time and effort. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. So, another question I had for you. So, for example, someone that may be watching this video, they may be relocating for a job, they may be thinking
Sure.
of moving to Chicago. People are more mobile than they were years ago. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Um, so, my question is, what should, for example, you can read stuff online, but someone wants to hear it straight from you. What's the life like for LGBT individuals and families who may be thinking, well, is it safe for me? Is it
Sure.
somewhere I'll be comfortable? Is it somewhere I'll be accepted? Is it somewhere my children will be accepted?
Sure. And that's
What's
such
your
an
thought on
important question. When it comes to, I will throw this out as a little disclaimer. When it comes to safety, there are restrictions in terms of what I'm able to really talk about, just due to fair housing laws. But specifically with regards to the LGBTQ plus community and feeling accepted, let's use the word accepted maybe versus safe. It's a place where you don't ever have to worry about walking down the street holding hands or public displays of affection. I've never ever had to think twice about that personally myself. And so I would say, it's a city that is extremely accepting of the LGBTQ plus community. There are neighborhoods that are definitely more known to be, um, what's the word I want to use? There are there are neighborhoods within the city, a handful that I can think of off the top of my head, where if you wanted to like really be amongst a lot of other members of the LGBTQ plus community, those are neighborhoods that I would probably talk to you about. But anywhere you are in the city, it really is a very inclusive and accepting city to live in. So I would say that for someone moving here, um, don't be afraid. There's really, I mean, and again, safety is a relative term, so I have to be careful what I say, but um, I personally, I will say that it's really a city that's very accepting and loving, and we have a lot of LGBTQ plus events that happen in the city, a lot of meetups, a lot of, I mean, there's just a huge LGBTQ plus community in the city. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing that because I'm in Florida. I visited Chicago a bunch of times, been out to the burbs, but for someone to hear it from you, someone that's in the
Yeah.
industry, it really means a lot. And that's what this video is about, getting to know a little bit more about the area and some professionals such as
Sure.
yourself that can help them.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the reasons that I love living here, and I think if I were to move, that's something that I would definitely have to take into consideration. It's certainly something that I take into consideration when I travel to different places,
Yeah,
for vacation purposes or whatnot. So if I was going to move to a place, I think it would be important to feel like I was going to be welcome and, be able to live my lifestyle without any worry or concern. And that's definitely Chicago. I mean, it's a very liberal city, first of all. And like I said, there's just a lot of different resources, outlets for LGBTQ plus people, and a lot of different events. And we have a big, Pride. The whole month of June is all about Pride. And
sure.
yeah, so I mean, it really is just a really wonderful place to live if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community.
Great, great. Well, thanks for sharing that. So,
Sure.
we're almost up to the end of our
Yeah.
podcast. My last question is when you're not selling real estate, what do you like to do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, I love to travel. I mentioned travel.
Yes.
And so part of my family is from France originally. So I have this like
Oh, I
dual
love France.
nationality thing. And
Wow,
so,
I didn't know that about you, and
yeah,
wow, I'm
I
feeling
grew
the
up I grew up multilingually and multiculturally, and so traveling has always sort of been a part of my life. And
yeah,
with a young one now, that's happening a little bit less, but that's still sort of a goal and something that I enjoy doing. And so even if it's just jumping in a car and like road tripping somewhere, camping is another one, which I guess could be categorized as part of travel. I love to
yeah,
cook.
that's
I love
always fun.
to be outdoors. As much as I can during the warmer months here. Um, like I said before, I have this creative side to me too. So I have been a member of the theater community in Chicago as well. I've been an actor for the last 25 years. Haven't done much since COVID for a variety of reasons, and part of that was just theater shutting down. But I do have that creative side to me, and the city certainly provides for a lot of different outlets in regard to that. But yeah, I mean, spending time with friends, trying new restaurants, which, I mean, as big as the city is, and as much as I rave about all the different variety of restaurants that there are here, there's always something new to try, and that's kind of a fun thing to do, and shows to go see, and music festivals. I mean, I kind of just uh, enjoy it all.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Well, I knew there was some je ne sais quoi, something about you that stood out. Um, yeah, so this was great. I really appreciate it. And I know people that are watching this that have found you, when they search for LGBTQ real estate Chicago, for example, or whatever
Mhm.
search term brought them here. I know this was a wealth of information for them. So
I hope
thank
so.
you.
And I'm happy to be, more of a wealth of information. If people have specific questions, reach out.
Yes, well, your information is there. Your website is trustteamsullivan.com,
Hmm.
and your email and phone number and website link will be available in this podcast uh, on YouTube. And yeah, this is perfect. Thanks so much. It's Friday. Let's make it a good one. We always do a two
Okay.
thumbs up at the end of
Two
each
thumbs up.
show.
All right.
Okay, great, great.
I'm all about it. Thanks so much, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Oh, a pleasure, hon. Have a great weekend with you and your boy.
Thank you. You do the same. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.